I have to disagree.
Go ahead.
I mean,
Go ahead.
my honest opinion is they're not standing because they want to avoid the humiliation of another lost deposit. His legal team, Nick, will have gone through this with a fine tooth.
Nigel Farage just quit his seat, and now he's calling it a by-election? Kemi Badenoch says it's fake. Nigel says it's democracy. And somewhere in the middle, an actual satirical candidate named Count Binface is about to run unopposed against him. You can't make this up. If you think British politics has officially lost the plot, smash that subscribe button, because we're about to break down exactly why the Tories just refuse to even show up to this fight, and what Badenoch says is really going on behind the scenes.
Just explain the thinking when you decided you would not choose to field a candidate up at the Essex constituency. What was the thinking behind that, Mrs. Badenoch? Good morning.
This is a fake by-election. This is a fake by-election. There's going to be a real by-election in Clacton. We will stand a candidate there. But what Nigel Farage is trying to do is distract from the fact that he didn't follow the rules, didn't declare a £5 million gift. I mean, who gets that when he should have done? The fact that he's doing this now, in my view, is pretty much him saying, I know I'm going to get done for this. I'm going to try and get ahead of it. But he didn't think it through. I don't think he actually read the rules about what happens. I think he thought he might be able to stop the investigation with a by-election saying the people of Clacton really want me. But we'll be ready for a real by-election in Clacton, but we're not going to play his game. This is a fake by-election, and he and Count Binface can duck it out.
What is to be made of his characterisation as effectively this is him against the establishment, Mrs. Badenoch?
Well, I don't think Count Binface is the establishment, quite frankly. It's really an example of Nigel Farage just cracking under pressure. What is happening is that he is facing scrutiny intensely for the first time, and he doesn't like it. He had a long honeymoon where he was railing against the establishment, but Keir Starmer's on his way out. Andy Burnham, seems to be on a summer holiday. It's only the Conservatives who are doing any work. All this happening is that people are asking him to explain himself. He stopped all the press conferences he was doing. Do you remember when he was having a press conference every 5 minutes? The minute tough questions were being asked and they weren't just being rude about all the other parties, he stopped. I'm very sure it's annoying for reporters to knock on the door of your children. That happens to so many of us. This scrutiny is very intense when you're in public life, but that's the price that we pay as politicians. The best way to deal with it is to be honest. He could have dealt with this, said he was sorry. Instead, he has now resigned his seat. He's no longer an MP.
Mrs. Badenoch, is there an element here of some politicians playing fast and loose with the electorate? We had I could put it to you, gimmick that saw Makerfield by-election take place to allow Andy Burnham to get back into the House. We now see Nigel Farage possibly trying to play a gimmick or a stunt with the good folk of Clacton-on-Sea. Isn't it a bit disrespectful?
I think it is. I think it is. Makerfield was about one man's job. Clacton is now going to be about one man's ego. The Aberdeen South by-election was triggered by an MP who decided he wanted to eventually run for First Minister instead. Although we won that, we made that a referendum on thousands of jobs, on oil and gas, and about Ed Miliband's crazy net zero agenda that's bankrupting the country. But yes, this is disrespectful to the electorate. What is even more disrespectful is that we had a very important vote yesterday. Labour is letting prisoners out early, including the perpetrators of sexual abuse, the grooming gang perpetrators. They're getting released early. We had a vote on it, and people didn't see what was going on because Nigel Farage made it about him. I had a large group of ladies, victims of grooming gangs and other sexual abuse, who wanted us to be talking about what they were dealing with, about having their abusers walking outside in front of their homes. Nobody saw that because Nigel Farage wanted it to be about himself. That is the real problem. It's just me with him. This is all about him. He is a one-man band, and now he's made a mistake. He hadn't thought it through. He's going to be standing against Count Binface at his by-election.
Expand on the points you made, because you had a punchy article in one of the newspapers earlier this week on the victims of crime. Just briefly explore some of the themes from your piece with my listeners, if you would, Mrs. Badenoch.
Well, I just think that it is extraordinary that we are letting prisoners out early what are we sending? What message are we sending? That you can commit crimes and you'll get out early. Labour is not tough on crime. We need consequences for crimes. If you commit crimes, you should be punished. Horrific crimes like the rape gang scandal, like the repeated sexual abuse of children, you should not get released early for that. And we had a vote in Parliament. Where were Reform MPs? They didn't vote. We had even a handful of Labour MPs voting with us. We've won that vote. Parliament has now sent a message to the government that it needs to deal with this. Reform MPs, not a single one of them bothered to vote because all they were thinking about was Nigel Farage and his fake by-election.
Well, you mentioned where are Reform MPs. One of them will be actually in this studio in just over 24 hours' time from 10 o'clock in the morning. Robert Jenrick. Now, you have called Kemi on LBC. I've done a little bit of presenting. Robert Jenrick is going to be doing his own show here tomorrow morning from 10. Got any advice for him, Mrs. Badenoch?
I think he's going to be having quite a tricky session. People will be asking him why his party leader has taken this £5 million money for his own pockets, not for his party. The whole thing stinks. Even Robert Jenrick has questions to answer about money that he's been given. Richard Tice also has odd financial dealings that he has to explain. This is what reform will be like in government. They're not serious. They haven't got any policies. We've got a defence crisis right now. Keir Starmer's gone to NATO with no money for the defence investment plan. Reform don't even have a defence spokesman. They keep saying that they're ready for government. No, what they're ready for is some more campaigning. They love all these by-elections, this circus that distracts people from the fact that the country is not being governed. I had a press conference yesterday where I took loads of questions from the press pointing out that we have a real problem with defence. We have too much money being spent on welfare. We need to take some of that money off welfare into defence, get people into work. I answered tough questions about my policies and how I was going to find the money. Nigel Farage doesn't have any policies, doesn't want to answer any tough questions, and I don't think Robert Jenrick will either.
On the theme of spending, you might not have had sight of it, so let me read you a bit of this story. Families on benefits must be given 30 free hours of childcare a week, Bridget Phillipson, Education Secretary, will say in a speech to be given today, warning those who most need support are not getting it and are being excluded. Only parents who are both working are usually entitled to free childcare, paying for nursery places for children between the ages of 9 months and 4 years. So now, parents on benefits, free childcare, is that something you would see the Conservatives supporting, Mrs. Badenoch?
No, absolutely not. Labour are no longer the Labour Party. They are the Welfare Party. As even their Welfare Secretary said, all Labour MPs want is to tax more people. They keep asking, who can they tax more to pay for more benefits? If you are on benefits, that means you're not working. So why do you need free childcare? There's no common sense anymore. We need to bring back common sense. Bridget Phillipson has been doing a terrible job as Education Secretary. 0% of teachers think she's doing a very good job. And that's why I hope that Andy Burnham moves her to the backbenches and gets someone better to do that job of Education Secretary.
Michael's in Sittingbourne, the other side, of course, of the river there. If you were in Clacton, which way would you go and why?
I'd vote for Nigel.
Tell me why, sir.
Okay, let's start off with the Tories and scandals. Let's talk about paying for duck ponds on their expenses.
Yes.
Let's talk about the £4 million Labour got just before the last election from the Cayman Islands hedge fund. No one talks about that.
Well, they do, respectfully, and that's why you're mentioning it now, of course, Michael.
Well, no, it's not. Well, the media's ignored it.
Well, it was.
The media has ignored it.
No, the duck pond ran for certainly days in the Daily Telegraph. It went forever.
That did. Yeah, that's right. But let's talk. That was then. I appreciate that was some time ago. But let's talk about the £4 million Labour got from the Cayman Islands hedge fund.
But
no one's talking about that.
But we did at the time, Michael.
It was last election.
Just as we talked about Keir Starmer's glasses and the use of the apartment. This is, as Kemi Badenoch said, and I don't subscribe to everything Mrs. Badenoch says, but she is right. If you come into politics, particularly if you seek senior office, you are going to have to be held to account.
Of course you are.
Well, he doesn't seem to want to be, Michael.
Well, I think I have to disagree.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
My honest opinion is they're not standing because they want to avoid the humiliation of another lost deposit. His legal team, Nick, will have gone through this with a fine-tooth comb.
Sorry, slow down. Sorry, they don't want to lose the deposit. The Conservatives is what you mean there?
No, well, all of them. The Uni Party don't want to lose their deposit. I mean,
I mean, they got 12,000 votes last time, the Conservatives. They got 28% share.
That's right.
You're not going to lose your deposit on that, mate.
Well, they didn't do very well in Makerfield, did they?
No, but we're talking Clacton now, which was traditionally Conservative until Douglas Carswell. And anyway, I won't.
Yeah, that was some time ago.
It was.
But it's a big if, Nick. If he is suspended, and it's a big if, in my opinion.
Of course, we do. We must let the process take its turn.
We must indeed, absolutely, exactly. I mean, these people are carrying on like it's a done deal. No, it's not. If he is suspended for any length of time, and it's a big if, in my opinion, they've got to get 10,000 people now in Clacton to say we want a recall petition. That's a mighty big deal to get. I don't think they'll do it. Because, I mean, I think they will see him. He's a victim of the establishment.
So here's where it lands. Badenoch's betting that ignoring Farage is smarter than fighting him starve the circus of oxygen, save the real fight for Clacton whenever that actually happens. Bold move. Maybe too bold. Because when you refuse to compete, some people don't hear we're above this. They hear we're scared. And that caller on the show? He didn't even wait for the spin straight to Nigel, no hesitation. That's the real warning sign for the Tories here, not Farage's stunt. Whether this was principle or panic, we'll find out fast. Drop your take below fake election, real threat, or both. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.